Michael Bisping, Anderson Silva. So what you got to be pumped to call it.
I'm not calling.
Really?
It. No, that's a FS1 fight. I think,
yeah.
or is it
Fight Pass?
A Fight Pass.
Fight
it's
Network
a Fight
in-
Pass
Fight
fight.
Network in Canada.
So I guess it'll probably be what team is that? The UK team?
Oh yeah.
Does that be Dan?
Dan Hardy.
Yeah,
Dan's
Dan.
great.
Yeah, he is great. I love the fight now. I think this is a perfect time for that fight because Anderson is a bit on the downswing. Bisping is still in the hunt, and he is still as determined as ever. And I think he really feels like this is a big fight for him and a fight that he can win, and a fight where he could. He's leveled a lot of accusations against Anderson. You have to wonder how much of that is just gamesmanship and mind games and trying to get inside Anderson's head, and how much of it he really believes that Anderson was on PEDs his entire career. We'd have to wait till after the fight for Michael to give us the real word on how he actually feels. But I think Bisping is incredibly fit, very tough, very durable. And if you look at the actual losses that he's had inside the octagon, other than the Luke Rockhold fight, it's been a bunch of guys who were on TRT.
Yeah, which is why I think he's so,
Yeah,
he
except
doesn't
Kennedy.
dig
Kennedy beat him.
Right.
Tim Kennedy beat him legitimately.
Yeah.
But, the Dan Henderson fight was back when Henderson was on TRT. Vitor, of course, we know that.
Yeah.
So he's a tough guy. Mike is a tough guy. And Anderson, boy, the Nick Diaz fight was a tough fight for him. Yep. First of all, tough fight recovering from that horrible leg break, taking that long layoff, and then also the trash talk that Nick Diaz lays on you. It's hard to handle. You see him doing it to him inside the octagon.
Lying down.
Yeah, and Anderson's like, whoa, I can't believe this is even happening to me. And that seems to be a common reaction that people have to Nick Diaz's trash talk. They're like, I can't even believe this dude's doing this to me.
It's true. And it's weird because Anderson, he was the guy who played games. He was the guy who liked to be keeping you that way. And Chris Weidman told us before the first time, he was like, the key to beating Anderson Silva is he's just a man. Yeah. And you got to go in and think he's just a man. And I think maybe for Bisping, that's easier now than it would have been before seeing Chris do it twice.
Unquestionably. If you took the Anderson Silva after he just crushed Yushin Okami and put him in with Michael Bisping, I'd have a very different feeling about this fight. But I think I give Bisping a real chance. I think he believes he has a real chance, and I think he has a real chance too. He pushes a tremendous pace. He's very fit. He has one of the lowest resting heart rates in the UFC. He's a 34 beats per minute resting heart rate. I mean, he's in incredible shape, and he's just an unbelievably tough guy. You're talking about a guy who's basically most of his eyesight is gone in his right eye, and it didn't slow him down a bit. I mean, I guess he has enough vision so that he can continue to compete. They test him. They feel like it's adequate. But if you look at his eye, it's forever changed. It's like it's black. It's almost like it's completely, totally dilated. And there's like some sort of oil that they put in there to make sure that the retina doesn't get detached again. I mean,
it's wild, yeah, and the guy's still fighting, and still swagger's in there. The way he just swaggers right in there.
Oh yeah,
it's if we picture Anderson Silva at his very best, like the best Anderson Silva moment, you picture a lot of people would pick him to beat Bisping.
Yes,
but you've seen dozens and more fighters age. What happens when they age? What's the first thing that go?
The chin. Anderson's knockout loss to Chris Weidman was devastating, and I saw repercussions of that, I believe, in the second fight, which I think he might have taken too quickly. If you look at the knockout loss to Weidman, he fought Weidman again, I want to say like 6 months later. I don't think that's enough time. In that fight, he got hurt really bad in the first round. In the clinch, Weidman hit him with a big punch and dropped him, and then kind of beat him up on the ground before they went to the second, and then he broke his leg with that kick. Who knows how that fight would have played out had they kept going, but it's just a devastating KO loss like that first fight to Weidman. It takes a long time if you ever recover from, and that's a big if. He's also 40 years old, and without testosterone replacement, without any PEDs, 40 is not 20 and it's not 30. It's just that you're different, and Bisping is younger. Bisping's no spring chicken himself, but
he's been a clean athlete his whole life, too.
Exactly. I give him an advantage in that, in wear and tear and age. But, he's been KO'd pretty brutally a few times himself.
It's going to be a fun fight, though.
It's going to be a very fun fight.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, brother.